evening, race fans, and welcome in to the historic Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina. A 1.36-mile egg-shaped oval that opened in 1950 has seen so much history for the NASCAR Series over the years. Tonight, we welcome the NORA Cup Series 2023 Season 3. It's Race 13, presented by Abby Sweet Treats Home Bakery, live here on VirtualRacing.Network. I'm Trevor Greenfield. So great to be with you tonight, and of course joining me, as has been frequently the case, and so great to have him with us, it is Christian Snyder. Christian, it is so great to have you with us here at Darlington. We've got so much going on. Of course, so many great throwback schemes being used by these drivers in the field, and what a cool track. We saw it last night in the NORA Truck Series. Lots of cars passing too wide, and of course a little bit of calamity with some trucks going flying. What are we looking forward to tonight with the NORA Cup Series?
I think it's going to be the same thing tonight, man. I mean, these cars, you can get into the wall a little bit more aggressive with these cars, and you're not going to lose any horsepower. So the Darlington stripe not going to be that much of a factor tonight. But we may see someone go to the moon again. That was interesting from last night. And also we saw tempers flare last night, so that could transfer over to tonight as well.
Absolutely, a little bit of tempers flaring. It's always good for the show, but certainly we're looking forward to more of that passing on track that we saw last night. And that Darlington stripe played a role last night, along with a little bit of tire degradation. It kind of had just a little bit of everything here at Darlington. So with that, let's go ahead and bring up the point standings before we get into qualifying. There you can see on your screen, Vincent Arthur, still your leader here in the NORA Cup Series by about a 40-some point margin over Ronnie Norman. Pretty big lead there. Brady Moats holding on to third place, Matthew George in fourth, and Brian Powell in fifth. And then I think I saw that Brian Powell not going to be able to make tonight's race, waylaid in some other responsibilities, unfortunately. Robert Jake Christenberry there jumping up a spot over John Cottle, Adam Kulikowski, Matthew Hibbs, and Joey Stats, your top 10. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the owners' points as they stand right now. Flatline Motorsports at the top of the board still. Nobody has touched them, but that margin is extremely small between the number 33 and the number 24 car. That's just 2 points, and then all the way back to 8th place before you get to the first car that's actually moving around. That's Prestige TRD continuing to gain spots here in the owners' points battle. And I tell you what, Christian, we are coming down to the playoffs before too long. Of course, next week we'll also have the All-Star race from North Wilkesboro. But do you think the points are really starting to hit home with some of these drivers, starting to think, okay, I got to start getting some of these great finishes here so that I can get in the playoffs at the end of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's like 14, roughly 14 races left until the playoffs. So now's the time to start getting the playoff points by winning the stages, getting the stage points to help secure your position in the top 16. We have a couple winners that are locked in already, but the people that aren't locked in are surely looking for their first win to secure their spot in the playoffs.
Well, just as you're saying that, quite a few cars not electing to head out immediately for qualifying, so I guess maybe thinking about those points a little bit too hard there. But Zachary Taylor, one of those to head out there, and of course he's got that throwback, the good old Goodwrench Chevy of Dale Earnhardt, and great to see all of these super cool paint schemes that we're going to be bringing to you tonight. I don't know all of them. Christian's going to try to help me with some of them, but Zachary Taylor doing his part to bring out some of these. And also, Christian, I understand you did the graphics work for a number of these paint jobs as well.
Yeah, I did 4 of the paint schemes that you're going to see tonight. A lot of these guys, you know, they take throwback serious, and whenever their painter isn't available right before throwback, you know, I'm kind of the backup guy, I guess. So I was able to paint some of them. There's one of them right now, Vincent Arthur's scheme. I was able to make that for him. He told me that's his favorite scheme of all time, and he really wanted it done. So I got it done for him. and he was really happy to be able to drive this tonight.
You know, I was noticing how cool it looked, and then I saw your Snyder graphics on there, and I was like, hey, way to go, Christian. Nice job. But, you know, it's fun to get to design some of these, too. Real-life schemes that, you know, we've been watching these paint schemes. You know, we grew up with them. We watched them on TV. Now you get a chance to design them and see them come out here with these really talented drivers behind the wheel. Here's Brandon Dunford for Nightmare Motorsports putting in his first qualifying lap. You saw, I think, Vincent Arthur having to bail out on that first lap. But Zachary Taylor, good enough for first on the board so far. Christian Berry going second, Stats in third. Brandon Dunford, good enough for fourth fastest there. And Anthony Mackie, fifth. Dustin Kleba also had to bail out on that initial lap, and so we're just about to see him take to the track. Christopher Thomas, right now, just finished his couple of qualifying laps for Full Send Motorsports, and I don't think either one of those was clean because I don't see him going up on the board right now. Here's Ronnie Norman headed out there. Again, another great throwback scheme here. This one, the Great Clips.
Yeah, that is a Casey Kane throwback.
Absolutely.
Another one of my designs as you pulled it up there.
I actually read he got his first win in that paint scheme racing at Bristol.
Yeah, he indeed did. I think I was there for that with him.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Gotta love it's so cool being a fan of motorsports and getting to also bring it here into sim racing and, you know, just kind of a lot of chance to connect with motorsports at such a deep level. Brady Motes putting in his qualifying effort so far. Sector 1 was apparently, well, let's see, where's he at the moment? Still putting in that first lap, so just really putting in the first lap here at Darlington. Running a little high there on entry, drifting up the track on exit out of turn number 4. Bringing across the line. Where is that going to put Brady here tonight? And good enough for fifth. So a good run by him. And just as we were talking about it, Dustin Kleba, last week's winner, managing to go to the top of the charts. And second, Vincent Arthur. Ronnie Norman in third. And so Josh Conover there with also a really cool throwback scheme. Jerry.
Yeah, interesting story about this one. That's to Jerry Nadeau. I was actually at the race where his crash happened at Richmond. So kind of a cool throwback for me to see because it was the first race I ever went to, and to see Nadeau lose his career at a short track was terrible. I mean, it was a terrible experience, but I mean, it brought me closer to NASCAR. So I guess in general, it was a good experience, but obviously not for Jerry Nadeau.
And, you know, that's obviously part of the reality of motorsport, you know, injuries. Fortunately, death's not as much a part of racing as it once was, the whole sport being much safer now. But as you mentioned, to see that kind of thing happen in front of you, hey, it sets the tone. Like, this is serious stuff, and a lot of respect got to be paid for these drivers that go out there and do it every single week, put their lives on the line. Hey, this is going to be an awesome night of racing. Let's go over the starting grid for tonight's round number 13 at Darlington, presented by Abby's Sweet Treats. Starting on pole position is going to be Dustin Kleba for KPR Motorsports. And in second place, we've got Vincent Arthur. No surprise there, two of the speediest drivers here in the field. Looking in the second row, we've got Ronnie Norman going to be starting alongside Zachary Taylor. In that third row will be Brady Motes and Josh Conover. In the fourth row will be Jake Christenberry and Joey Stats. In the fifth row will be Brandon Dumford and Anthony Mackie. In that sixth row, Adam Kulikowski and Chad Engel. In the seventh row, Jacob Gladelich and Matthew George. In the eighth row, Timmy Harper will be starting alongside Cody Height. And I do see that 17th is supposed to be Matthew Hibbs, but I don't see him on the track quite yet. So Nick Geilis will be starting in 18th. Hopefully Hibbs can make it there. Christopher Thomas going to be starting alongside Josh Curry. And that is going to be your full field for tonight. 20 starters. And hopefully Matthew Hibbs can make it out there, because it'd be a shame for him to have to start from the pits or miss tonight's race. I know all of these drivers very happy with their paint schemes. There's another throwback from Dustin. And I believe that's Greg Biffle. Am I right?
It was actually before Greg Biffle's time. I don't know who drove this. Dustin was commenting on it and said bonus points to anybody who knows who drove this. So I honestly, I do not know who drove this one. So maybe if Steven Dombrowski maybe is in the chat, maybe he can let us know, because it seems like he knows all these schemes.
Well, certainly we're always so fortunate to have Steven checking in with us. And of course, if you're out there in YouTube land, you're just checking in now, make sure to say hello in chat. Always so pleased to have you with us, and always great to hear where you're watching from, who you're rooting on, and any other comments or questions that you might have. But either way, should buckle in for an awesome night of racing. All these great racing schemes to reminisce over the night, and of course, hopefully lots of great racing action out there. We're going to be doing 54 laps in the first stage, 111 in the second, and 176 laps overall. And should be a great race here tonight. Dustin Kleba about to step on that loud pedal for the first time and bring us down to Barney the Flag Man, who has that green flag in the air. Green flag it is. We are underway here at Darlington.
And these guys are going to want to get single file before they get to turn 2. We saw it last night, and I said it multiple times. Whenever you're too wide out of 2, it's so narrow, and you risk getting into each other and getting into the wall. As we see Nick Geilis gets really close to the wall off of exit there.
Number of these drivers side by side still. They apparently didn't listen. But Joey Stats and Brady Motes, I believe, going side by side right there. Number of these drivers finally working it out as they head down into turn number 1. No problem for Dustin Kleba, who currently leads, and he's picking up right where he left off. But that was Zachary Taylor just a moment ago.
Hard hit into the wall there.
Huge hit on exit of turn 2, pushing right up the track and into the wall.
No, I said the Darlington stripes weren't going to be effective to the cars, but that was more than a Darlington stripe. That was a pretty hard hit. So
Absolutely.
He's got to hope that his toe's not knocked out in the right rear.
Conover also with a big problem. That's Josh Conover dropping down, and as you said, the Darlington stripe already affecting Taylor. I wonder what has gotten to Conover here, but he is dropping very, very quickly.
I believe he got loose out of turn 4, and instead of putting it in the wall, he went way down to the inside to save his car. So I don't think there's any damage on his car, but you'll see it here, watching it on board here with the 81. See how he gets loose and he chases it the whole way down the track. No contact though, so a great save there for Josh.
Back to the live picture. Josh recovers back in 8th. Is that just kind of cold tires, just coming up to speed and maybe getting on the gas, goosing in a little bit early?
I believe it could be. I didn't get any practice in with the Cup cars here, but I believe at any track, whenever you're on cold tires, it's going to be loose. So that might have been the reason he got loose there.
Oh, and Arthur just cruises up the track and touches the wall as well. You know, when a driver the caliber of Arthur, especially after last night's race, is able to... Oh, and there we've got both Taylor and Christenberry having an issue. Christenberry sideways, coming through the corner, manages to collect himself, but there Brandon Dunford in that 20 just coming up to try to challenge as well. So
yeah, whenever you have an incident like that and you get loose, going into the next corner is always scary because you got to get your momentum back and you got to get your rhythm back. So he was able to get through 1 and 2 clean. In 3 and 4, he is also able to get in through clean, so he's back into the rhythm now. He'll start clicking off lap times and try to catch back up to Josh Conover now.
Indeed, he will try to catch up, and one guy who doesn't have to do any catching up, it's Dustin Kleba, who just set the fastest lap of the race at a 29:35. So I'm thinking that the tires are just starting to come in for him, and he's just starting to get a feel for it. So let's just watch on board here with Kleba and see what how he handles this car through the corner. Sorry to cut you off there, Christian.
No, I was just going to mention that we saw last week that he is so smooth with the wheel. This track, you can't be as smooth. It's pretty abrasive, so you're going to see a lot of movement in the wheel, more than what we usually see from Kleba. You see how he's having to go to the right here out of turn 4 there. So it's a little bit loose over the bumps out of 4.
Well, whatever he's doing it right out there. He does clip a little bit of that apex on entry. Comes down under that white dashed line there, but he kind of diamonds the corner a little bit, gives himself a little bit more room on exit there off of the corner. Pretty interesting.
We saw a lot of guys in real life doing that lane on Sunday, and it was pretty effective. You know, the traditional line is you go in the corner low, let it drift up to the wall, and then go back out low on the exit. So you can see he's doing that in 1 and 2, and then in 3 and 4, he's trying to keep it as low as he can.
Well, and you can see the gap growing each and every lap here between Kleba and Arthur. So very quickly already opening up about a 15 car length lead there. 1.21 seconds back to Vincent Arthur. And then Ronnie Norman, quite a ways back himself. So you take a look, currently 1.38 seconds behind right now, Vincent Arthur. So already coming up on about 3 seconds back. But this is still early in the going. You got a long run to go. And you want to manage those tires over the length of the run. We heard last night in the truck race, certainly a lot of management to do, a lot of taking care of those tires, making sure you're there at the end. And a lot of these drivers are going to be very focused on that tonight.
Yeah, and I was updated in the chat from Cody Reeder, who finished in the top 3 last night. He let us know that Kleba is running a Ted Musgrave paint scheme. I completely forgot that Musgrave drove the 16, but it is a good-looking scheme out there.
That's absolutely right. Bonus points for Cody Reeder for coming up with that, and certainly Ted Musgrave. That is a throwback indeed. That's some ways back there in the history of NASCAR, but beautiful paint scheme there. I feel like he would have driven that at like the Firecracker 400 or something like that. Some crazy race that called out for a totally patriotic scheme. And looking through the field, though, it looks like got a bit of a race going on here between Brandon Dunford in 9th with Cody Height behind. And Cody Height on YouTube, as he's known, drifting up the track. Another throwback paint scheme for Cody Height.
Yeah, this one a Ward Burton throwback. I believe to 2003 or 4.
So many seasons, so many years in NASCAR saw that car with the Caterpillar sponsorship, etc. But I know as far as iRacing goes, you're like not even allowed to use that name. There was some big blow up over using that particular sponsor name. They said you can't do it. So perhaps that's one of the reasons Cody's not using that here tonight. But beautiful car. So cool to see it. And then just behind, Jacob Gladelich in the number 7, running an awesome throwback paint scheme.
Yeah, those Kellers are familiar with Neil Bonnet, but I'm not sure exactly what the throwback is. But those Kellers definitely were what Neil Bonnet ran when he passed.
Well, it says Corey LaJoy on it, and I don't know. Does that mean that he drove it?
Yeah, Corey did drive this, I believe, this year at Darlington. It might have been last year. but he threw it back to I'm not sure who it was, but the triple number on the side, it was 711 on that car, so it's 777 on this car. But it does look really cool with having those three numbers on there. But yeah, this is definitely a curious one for me.
I know that Gladelich was saying earlier that he was looking at maybe trying to do a Don LaJoy, because Don LaJoy was 711, so I'm not sure 100%, but once again, maybe our YouTube fans out there can help us out and let us know. Steven Dombrowski, always awesome to have you with us. And yeah, I guessed Greg Biffle on that other paint job myself. I saw like the 16 and saw the patriotic paint scheme, and I thought, oh, it's got to be Biffle, but in fact, it was not. So neither one of us were right there. Cody Reeder, I would take Kleba over Musgrave in a Cup cap for sure. Kleba, that'd be interesting. I'd love to get some of these drivers out there and put them in a real car. I would love to see what some of these drivers could do out there and see whether or not it's possible. I know we've seen that a few times, real-life drivers stepping out and joining. But you don't have to look any further back from Chad Ingles' Brian Powell Motorsports machine, which is also an awesome throwback there.
Yeah, that is the third paint scheme that I was able to make for these guys out here tonight. So Chad messaged me and wanted a Steve Park throwback, and of course I was a big DEI fan back in the day, so I was happy to make this for him, and it looks great out there on the track.
Certainly does. And then we've got this paint scheme, and of course don't have to go much further than the infamous Cole Trickle, who ran this paint scheme, but in addition, I believe Kyle Petty ran this paint scheme back in the day as well.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, he's obviously the number 45, but that has the 51 on it, so, and I believe Curry is the number 51, so I'm curious to see what's going to come from that. I'm not sure.
Well, we
never seen the wrong number on a car.
You know, I did see that earlier on when we were broadcasting. Somebody made the mistake of having a different number on there, and I don't. You're absolutely right. The 51. I don't want to cut away from that because it's actually some side-by-side action. We'll go back to that, but Curry was just behind as the 51. Now Kulikowski, I say 51, the 45 manages to get ahead of Chad Ingle. That's exactly why we put the correct numbers on the cars, because we want to be able to tell who is what. But check out that paint scheme. It's going to be familiar to a lot of you NASCAR fans as well.
Yeah, this throwback to Kyle Busch, as he's actually about to get lapped here by Dustin Kleba, who, oh man, Kleba got real loose behind there. So maybe going to take another lap to try to get by him, but he got real loose out of the corner. That has allowed Vincent Arthur to get the whole way up, almost to his bumper now.
That is very interesting. You're absolutely right. There is Arthur. He's come calling, and Arthur almost slams into him. But it looks like he drifted up and hit the track hit the wall as well.
Yeah, and this is a product of Darlington. Whenever you get those slower lap cars, you got to pick and choose your way around them. And Vincent wasn't expecting him to get on the brakes that much, and it cost him about 0.2 of a second there over Kleba. But he has gained it back there in that corner. He had a good run there on the bottom, so about a half a second back from him.
Well, already Darlington starting to show its true colors. The Lady in Black, a track too tough to tame. All of these great names for a reason, because it's an absolutely astoundingly challenging track to really be able to settle in and get comfortable. If you do start to get comfortable, next thing you know, you're lapping cars, and it gets even more difficult. Now, we're going to check back here and take a look at this battle going on. This is Cody Height racing for 8th place. There's Brandon Dunford just in front.
Yeah, and I do want to update. That's actually not a Ward Burton throwback. It's a Scott Wimmer throwback. After Ward Burton stepped out of the 22, Scott Wimmer took over, so that is a throwback to Wimmer.
My goodness.
That's a name.
That's
Haven't heard that one in a long time.
You know, you're pulling out all these like early 2000s names that, yeah, you're right. That was a different heyday of NASCAR for sure. Rigid Cloud checking in over on YouTube saying Dustin gonna win every race from here on out. Hey, that's
a possibility.
It's a possibility, but I would say Vincent Arthur definitely going to keep him honest. We got some other great drivers here. Ronnie Norman, Josh Conover. You can never forget a lot of these drivers who definitely have the talent and capability to get up there and possibly make a challenge for that position. Now, just a moment ago, this was on lap 16. This was Guileless in a beautiful throwback scheme to Dale Earnhardt in his Wrangler, and unfortunately, Guileless hits the wall and ends up having to head back to the pits. So rough going there for the Wrangler throwback scheme for Guileless, and I know Guileless was really looking forward tonight, and I know that also Nightmare Motorsports has been having some good luck as of late, so looking to continue to capture that, but not so tonight for Guileless, unfortunately.
And he's an admin within this series, so usually whenever he's running for owner points, if he gets into the wall at all, he just hops behind the wall and will race control the rest of the night. So that is more than likely the case of what he is doing now, and he's calling the shots out there in the tower now.
Well, always appreciated. As we all know, it takes a lot of people to run these things behind the scenes. Of course, we always have to give our big salute. Did I miss something?
Did you see that from Kleba? He got real low on the track. It looked like he got maybe loose out of turn 2. Oh, he is coming into the pits now.
I wonder if he doesn't like that set of tires. I mean, here we
I
are.
believe the fuel is around like 35 laps, maybe 40. But last night they were getting, I think, 50. So these guys run 60% fuel load in these cars. So you can't quite make it to 40 or 50 in these cars. So obviously Kleba coming in, getting a new set of tires. This is going to pretty much guarantee him the stage win. So this was a smart call here coming in this early. As long as a caution doesn't come out. If a caution does come out, these guys are going to be trapped 1 or 2 laps down.
Well, it's quite the gamble. I mean, it's either the best call or the worst call. And I guess you got to make it. You got to put your chips on one of the colors if you're going to bet. So Brady Mote's in the pits as well. Brandon Dunford. Here you can see Vincent Arthur taking the tour down the long pit lane here. Zachary Taylor also stopping off in the pits. Actually, Zachary is now, I think, parking it, as we now have Matthew Hibbs is actually heading out there, and he's just getting going in this Mountain Dew car, which I think is a yet another throwback to, is this Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Who was it that drove this car?
I believe it was Chase Elliott 2 seasons ago.
That's absolutely right, yes. And with the number 9 as well.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 years ago that he ran this, and it's a really nice paint scheme.
Very flashy paint job. Not sure what kept Matthew Hibbs from getting out there and getting any laps in, but he is just barely getting up to speed now. Nick Guileless still sitting on pit road. I think, as you said, he's going to park it for the night. Zachary Taylor also going to be parking it, at least for now. Josh Curry sitting on pit road in that Prestige TRD machine. So unfortunate for him. And I guess now he is getting going again, but still a couple of laps down. But looking at who's taking over the lead, there is that Jerry Nadeau tribute scheme for Josh Conover of Flatline Motorsports. He'll take over the lead. And Cody Height is in second place. Timmy Harper running in third. Matthew George in fourth. And Christopher Thomas is your top 5. So these drivers have yet to pit. And Chad Engel also back there in 6th place. He's also yet to pit. Dustin Kleba setting the fastest sector one time on that last lap. Now, possibly, yes, he sets the fastest overall lap time. Nope, actually, now it's been set by Vincent Arthur as Conover goes up and kisses the wall there. Still leading.
Yeah, and we've seen this multiple weeks now from Conover. When everyone else short pits, he just stays out there. He's running for owner points. He doesn't necessarily need the stage win, but he can completely control this race if a caution comes out. So that's what he tries to do week in and week out. He stretches this fuel tank completely dry.
One of the ways to do it, you can undercut, you can overcut. Always different calls to make on strategy. Certainly, you can imagine if that caution were to come out that you were talking about, that would trap those others a lap down or 2 laps down. Josh Conover would have been perfect position to really put himself in position to take victory here tonight, trapping those others a couple of laps down, or at least make them have to work extremely hard to get back up to the front. But Cody Height running a strong second here. Timmy Harper just behind. There's another throwback scheme we haven't had a chance to talk about. I believe that one is Carl Edwards.
Yeah, that's Carl Edwards from the mid-2000s, I believe, like 2009, 2010, for Timmy Harper out there. Well, he's got the duck on the side.
He does. Wonder if he'll do a backflip if he wins. But certainly talking for a moment about Timmy Harper. Timmy at the center of a moment last night in the truck race that was something else. We saw a couple of trucks come together and one head-on off to the moon. And that was Joey Stats. I'm surprised he's here tonight. I thought he was up on the moon. It was something else. I feel bad for those drivers and how their night ended up, but either way, it was pure gold and just a pure iRacing moment watching that truck go tumbling hundreds of feet in the sky. Here's another throwback paint scheme here on your screen for Matthew George of Flatline Motorsports. This one pretty familiar, I think, to most people. I wasn't able to find this exact scheme year that he ran it, but I was always a big fan of Mark Martin over the years and his kind of, methodical approach towards races. Of course, he always had like the worst luck. I mean, I can't tell you how many races I watched him get sucked into other people's accidents, but hopefully Matthew George channeling that championship caliber Mark Martin and not the one that frequently found himself a magnet into the others' incidents. But either way, here comes Matthew George in for his first pit stop from 4th place.
Yeah, and talking about Mark Martin, you can't forget losing the Daytona 500 within the last 50 feet of the line. So you talk about unlucky. Kevin Harvick stole that one, and that was one I didn't want to see. I wanted to see Mark Martin win that in the 0-1 U.S. Army scheme back then. But Harvick, obviously the closer, closed the deal for Mark Martin.
Absolutely closed the deal. And is that what Dustin Kleba is going to be able to do here tonight? We're working on lap number 43. He's got to get to 54 to take the stage win. Right now, Cody Height dropping down onto pit lane. Just about to come in and take service, get 4 freshies, and head on back out there. Josh Conover still in the lead. Timmy Harper holding on to 2nd, and Dustin Kleba has climbed his way back into 3rd. He'll soon be there to be able to take advantage of these two having to make pit stops. So you see that 43 really coming up on the back very, very quickly. These new tires were so much here at Darlington. And then finally we see Josh Conover heading into the pits.
I believe he may be out of fuel because I don't know if he's just letting it coast at this moment here.
I could still hear an engine running there. But very, very
he's got to be on fumes pretty much right now because that is a 45-lap run. And I didn't think these guys could get that on fuel.
Well, of course, Josh has the extra tank on board, which he can get away with as the admin of NORA. Just hide that little extra tank underneath the dashboard. But Dustin Kleba about to take over the lead as soon as Timmy Harper pits. And then finally, Timmy brings the Aflac Duck into the pits to take his first pit stop of the evening. Kleba for KPR Motorsports just about to take over that lead position. Second place will be Vincent Arthur. Chad Engel now finds himself, actually, he's one of those who hadn't pitted, so Engel heading down into the pits as well. Brady Motes, now he's someone who's pitted, and he's given that Busch car a good run out there. It's another throwback scheme right there.
Yeah, he was able to jump up ahead of Norman, as well as Stats jumping ahead of Norman. So maybe a little bit of a slow stop for Ronnie. He was in third heading in, but now he finds himself right behind this battle with Stats and Motes.
Well, I'm looking at their pit stop times, and I don't know how much you can believe my software, but it's generally been pretty accurate. Looks like best pit lane time was Vincent Arthur with a 50.62, and everyone else kind of in the 52s or so. Conover with a 46-second pit stop. Very interesting. But I don't see anything for Ronnie that would say it was a pit stop necessarily. But either way, Stats has got to be loving this. Running in fourth place. And, of course, he does have Ronnie Norman right there looking to pounce.
Yeah, in this throwback, I believe, is the early 2000s, because I recognize the paint scheme, but obviously it wasn't Richard Petty that drove this one. That's too new to be a Richard Petty throwback, so I'm thinking maybe Andretti?
That's a good question.
I'd have to look for that real quick. Give me one moment.
Either way,
puzzling me.
I mean, this has just been a lot of fun to get all of these different paint schemes out here and, really show off everyone's fandom and who they grew up watching or who was one of the main cars that they enjoyed watching over the past 20, 30 years of NASCAR. I know last night we saw a really cool Bobby Allison paint scheme that came out, so before a lot of these drivers were even born. But looking back here and talking about it, I know Vincent Arthur was sporting a paint job that was from a year before he was even born. And yet it certainly dates me because I remember very vividly watching that paint scheme in those years. But either way, watching on here as Ronnie Norman looks to the outside, looks like Joey Stats looks to the inside, and Stats obviously no repercussions from last night's trip to the moon. And for those
he's reacclimated to the Earth gravity pretty well.
I'm sure he's not anxious to repeat that. But for those of you who didn't get a chance to see last night's race, make sure you head over to our archive and get a chance to watch that. That was a pretty exciting race last night. But also tried to clip that as well and share that on some of our social media, and you can find that over on our Facebook page if you're not already a member. Oh, and there Stats gets up into that wall, gets some of that Darlington stripe.
Yeah, and that's not going to affect him at all. That was just, barely a bounce off of it, so that's not going to affect his time at all. It's not going to make him any tighter. Those type of hits to the wall are what we're going to see pretty frequent tonight.
I don't even see a stripe on that thing.
Yeah, there's absolutely no damage on that car. And that's because these cars have the composite bodies, so they're just able to kind of bounce off the wall and keep going.
Yeah, those trucks are made of tinfoil. They seem to just crumple pretty quickly. And certainly, as we found out, you do not want to crash head-on into anything. It will pop that engine very, very quickly. I did hear a couple of drivers popping their engines in practice here in the Cup Series, but so far so good on everyone staying running. Kleba out there by a 1 second advantage over Vincent Arthur. Third place, Brady Motes, who is 9 seconds back. And we've got a yellow flag that's come out, and that is for the stage victory belonging to Dustin Kleba. And
Yeah, and
Vincent,
that's a lucky break there for Josh Conover, because he was about to lose the lucky dog to Cody Height, but he is able to nab that position. We'll be back on the lead lap after the pit stops.
well, Vincent Arthur will take second, Brady Moats in third, Joey Stats in fourth, and Ronnie Norman in fifth. And we're going to step aside here on VirtualRacing.Network while we catch our breath, and we'll be right back with stage number 2 and lots of green flag racing, lots of strategy yet to come, lots of green flag passing and racing. So you don't want to go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. And of course, tonight you're watching round number 13, Darlington, of the NORA Cup Series 2023 Season 3. It's Abby's Sweet Treats. Home Bakery is the presenting sponsor. And, well, why don't we go ahead and find out a little bit more about this Abby's Sweet Treats. I know it's got my sweet tooth running. It's Abby's Sweet Treats Home Bakery, and there you can see on your screen some beautiful cookies, chocolate chip cookies. That's one of my favorites for sure. Easter cookies, so many of these special occasions, and of course there's Abby as well. She makes the cake pops, she makes Oreo pies, she makes, I mean, really let your imagination kind of run wild. I personally just ordered some Indy 500 cookies, and I am looking forward to it. Get my Indy 500 going right and be snacking on some cookies with my friends. There is Abby Dreyer, owner, and Plymouth, Minnesota. 812-264-1624 is the phone number. abcobb@gmail.com. Head on over. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. And I know that there's a way to like place an order, so you can actually do that, and then they follow up with an invoice, and you can just pay for the invoice. So nice and easy. Yeah, make sure to head on over to Abby's Sweet Treats tonight and get your cookies ordered for the Indy 500 or whatever special thing you got coming up. I'm looking forward to it. I don't even know what kind they're going to be. I'm actually really excited, because I just told her to figure it out, you know? Like, I'm not real picky about it, so you could do a couple of different kinds, or you could just do, like, chocolate. Maybe since it's Indy 500, chocolate and sugar cookie. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Whatever it is, I'll take some photos. And, Christian, this has been a good one so far. What do we see in Stage 1, and what are you expecting here in Stage 2?
We saw Dustin Kleba lead every single lap of Stage 1, and I think we're going to see Dustin Kleba lead every single lap of Stage 2. He's got it figured out tonight, I'm telling you.
He does have it figured out, and that's to say a lot, because Vincent Arthur seemed to have it absolutely figured out at the end of last night. But Kleba is just picking up where he left off last week after taking victory, and we're going to be able to see him take victory of Stage 2 and the final victory overall tonight. I don't know. I mean, weird things have happened, you know. We saw one driver take both stages last night and not end up winning, so we'll find out. Dustin Kleba leads us back to the green here with Vincent Arthur in second. Brady Moats holding on in third. Joey Stats in fourth, and Ronnie Norman there in fifth place. We take a look a little bit further back. There's some side-by-side action.
Trouble there. Dunford into the wall hard.
Dunford, as you said, into the wall, and then there's Jake Christenberry, not in his familiar red and white DoorDash, getting by on the inside. Dunford still kind of scraping the wall.
Yeah, and that's just the product of trying to get back into the rhythm. He's trying to gather himself back up. A little bit surprised from hitting the wall, so you go into the next corner and you got to try to regain that composure. And most of the times you get back into the wall if you don't gain the composure quick enough.
Here's Gladelich trying to race with Josh Conover. Conover just behind, but there's a...
Oh, man, Cody Height. Really loose there.
Cody Height extremely loose. Of course, Cody Height, first car a lap down, I believe, at the moment. As Conover did get that
lucky dog spot right now.
Exactly. Conover did have the lucky dog last time, so he was able to get back onto that lead lap, and here he is racing his way back through the field just behind. And now here's some more expensive maneuvers happening out there. A little bit of scraping against the wall. Conover running in 9th place. Here's Matthew George running in 10th. And in the meantime, Kleba wasting no time. Fastest lap of the race, last lap, at 29.26.
And that is moving. If I'm not mistaken, that's faster than the qualifying lap that he put down.
That is certainly shaking and baking out there, and it looks like he's finding a groove. Of course, track getting rubbered up. That may be helping things a little bit. But either way, Kleba not looking back. And, you know, for somebody like Vincent Arthur, too, to see Kleba come in and just start cleaning up, it's got to be almost a shakeup to Arthur, because Arthur had been putting his stamp on this series, and he seemed like he could do just about anything he wanted. He was fastest most tracks, and then to see Kleba come in and just be able to be that extra step above has got to be, it's got to raise an eyebrow for Arthur.
Well, Arthur and the entire Flatline team, because we've seen multiple times early in the season, all three of them finishing in the top 3 spots. And now you're getting guys like Kleba, Moats, and Stats breaking that up, breaking up the Flatline power from earlier in the season.
Well, either way, these drivers all doing a fantastic job here tonight, and Brady Moats for Brian Powell Motorsports having a great run. He qualified well in 5th, up into 3rd. Actually, I was getting very used to seeing Brady Moats chatting with us over in YouTube. But I noticed, Christian, you did post a question out there onto YouTube asking which driver will have a better finish than Dustin Kleba or Vincent Arthur. How many spots will be the difference? And I think I could make that an official poll. So I'll work on that, and we'll see if we can get some votes in. But either way, feel free to chime in. Let us know which driver will have a better finish, Dustin Kleba or Vincent Arthur. And like I said, it's looking too good for Dustin Kleba right now. I'm not sure, but anything could go wrong. Again, another problem that could happen is these lap cars. As you said, it gets very tight out here, and these lap cars, a lot of times they're struggling with their tires. They're, starting to slide up the track and possibly might tag the wall right in front of the leader. Any of these things can happen as you're leading the race and all of a sudden find yourself into the side of one of these lap cars.
Or sideways in pit road, as Kleba was able to manage at Dover. And I believe we talked about it. The only way that Kleba could possibly give up a win is whenever he makes a mistake or gets involved with someone else, because it's typically we don't see Dustin Kleba make those kind of mistakes. So it was kind of surprising at Dover whenever we saw him spin out and hit the wall in pit road. So hopefully I did not just jinx him and that happens again. It has been multiple times this season we have jinx drivers, so they're getting pretty tired of it up here. But hopefully we didn't jinx them there, or I didn't.
You probably did, but it's okay. That's our job.
Cody can yell at me in chat because Cody Reeder's Dustin Kleba's teammate, so I'm sure he'll say something here.
So a good race happening here tonight. Obviously seeing Kleba out there pretty well doing what he needs to do, but all these drivers, I mean, Arthur's just 1 second back right now. You've got Brady Moats up there. I know we've seen Ronnie Norman having a good run here. Talk about for some of these drivers to come out here and just meet this kind of challenge at Darlington, what this can do for your confidence at the end of the night.
I mean, Darlington is the toughest track. It's too tough to tame. The Lady in Black, whatever nickname you want to give this track, it is brutal. So whenever you're able to get here and keep the car clean, it's a huge momentum booster for going into North Wilkesboro next week.
North Wilkesboro coming up next week, and I mean, you talk about tricky tracks. That'll be another fun one to watch, and super historic track, of course. And what a great rebound story for that track. And really, honestly, Darlington not that long ago was kind of, I mean, I don't think it was on its way out, but it needed a renewing, and the Southern 500 came along once again, and all of a sudden they were having fantastic side-by-side finishes, etc. here at Darlington, and got a great resurgence. But certainly these old tracks, they need some help, and honestly, people need to pay to go buy tickets and go out and watch. But that's just part of the story. A lot of these tracks need to be refurbished. A lot of these grandstands are ancient at some of these tracks, and they need to be completely redone, if not completely torn down and completely replaced. The media center facilities all have to be redone to 21st century standards. I mean, there is a lot to do to fix these old tracks. It's not just as simple as having NASCAR come on out and race again for the next time.
Yeah, and I actually have a track that used to be in NASCAR about an hour from me. I usually go there on the weekends whenever I get a chance, whenever I'm healthy enough to get out there. But Dale Earnhardt used to race at that track, so it's really cool to go there. But they just recently refurbished it. They're working on the grandstands this year, putting in more. But the problem with our track is we have an open wall on the outside where the entrance for the track is, so they gotta get that fixed if any of the National Series ever want to come to our track.
And what are you talking
about? Jennerstown.
Jennerstown, my goodness.
Yes.
That's a flash from the past.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was back in the, I believe, late 80s, early 90s with the Grand National Series, what it was called back then. But Cup never ran there.
Well, awesome to go out there and hang out. And so you're saying is there anybody running out there now?
Yeah, they do every Saturday night. They run, late models, street stocks, modifieds out there. And this year they've got some new series coming in. The IMCA modifieds were there this year. I'm waiting for ARCA to go there, but like I said, they got to get safer barriers and close that wall if one of the National Series come.
Well, and that's just part of it. Again, these refurbishments have to come in stages because of the amount of dollars that are required to do it. But it is great to see a lot of these old tracks find that support. A lot of times it comes from everywhere. Some big donors, some small donors, but at the end of it, they got to sell tickets. I've never seen a racetrack succeed with empty grandstands. I know it's possible with TV contracts like in Formula One, but in terms of everybody else, it's just not possible to make money if people don't turn out. And, when we look up here in the stands for the NORA Cup Series, of course, sold out crowds every single time the NORA Cup Series takes to the track, which is just fantastic, the level of support that these fans, they turn out by the tens of thousands, these virtual fans, and pack the stands. It's really awesome to see. But really in real life, easier said than done. I mean, you have so much going on, everything from what we're doing right now, and well, this is a simulation, but of course, lots of people play video games. So you got everything from video games, you got television, you've got just electronic devices, and just 1,001 things to do. But you got to make time for it. You got to get out there and just enjoy the outdoors, and get down and get yourself some nachos and some hot dogs, and have a great day. Get a little sunburnt. Well, put on your sunscreen. Don't get cancer, but enjoy it. That's what it's all about. Get out there and feel the breeze in the air, and certainly have fun rooting on the cars and all of your favorites. That's what it's about. Get out to your local short track, and I'm so happy. I moved from the Northwest, where we were located here for VirtualRacing.Network, and there were some cool tracks nearby, don't get me wrong, but moving down here to Florida, there is so much cool short track racing going on. Pensacola just down the road for me. I mean, from Five Flags Speedway, Volusia, absolutely. Tons and tons of awesome tracks around, and I'm just barely getting going. So difficult for me to move from one coast to the other, but at the same time, my oh my, there is so much cool short track action out there. So Vincent Arthur still holding on to second. It's now a 1.40 second gap. Brady Moats in third place, but he's got Ronnie Norman right there behind, 3/10 of a second back. So Norman in close enough range to try to get into that podium spot. Now, of course, we are going to be having our next stage at lap 111, so these drivers going to be starting to push pretty hard to try to get up there into that spot. And then, not very far back also to Joey Stats, Jake Christenberry, just 0.6 of a second. So a number of these drivers just kind of like sitting in a row here. I don't know if they're going to be able to push a little bit harder as we get to the end of stage 2. Or if this is just kind of where they're going to, they're pushing as hard as they can, and this is where they're at.
Well, they're going to have an opportunity to maybe gain some positions whenever green flag pit stops come here. As you see, Joey Stats got pretty loose out of turn 2 there, but we see now Ronnie Norman pulling it down to the bottom, coming in, and Joey Stats going to follow him. You can see where you gain positions right there. Joey Stats was able to get in a lot better than Norman, and someone up ahead of Norman also in the pits. I believe that's Vincent Arthur has brought it in, but Stats gaining on Norman throughout the pits. He was right on his bumper there at one point, and we saw Kleba do it earlier in stage 1. He was able to pit first, and now Vincent Arthur gonna pit early. So we're gonna see how many positions he's able to gain out there as Kleba now comes in.
So Kleba does make that trip down pit lane, and that will leave Brady Moats out there kind of by himself to run around in that bush paint scheme. And he's out of Alabama, and once again, surrounded by awesome racing all around himself. But Brady Moats going to get some bonus points for leading a lap here. And, really that's one of the keys, talking about bonus points. Looking at those point standings, Vincent Arthur holding the most bonus points, and that's why he's at the top of the charts. I mean, that is a massive advantage to be able to get out there, get stage victories, lead laps, lead the most laps, all of those good things to take bonus points here in the NORA Cup Series. And now finally, Moats will pull it on to pit lane, as does Timmy Harper. So those two making their way down into the pits, and we've got Arthur now side by side with Kleba. This is for the virtual lead of the race. Here comes Arthur forward, and he'll take it.
Yeah, and now with Arthur ahead of Kleba, catching people
just
here.
As a yellow flag comes out for Adam Kulikowski.
Oh, this is going to be interesting because Harper was the leader. Has the caution came out, and he's still in the pits. So I think Brady Moats is going to be your leader now because he's ahead of Vincent Arthur.
Well,
But
a very
that car
fortuitous
has seen better days.
circumstances. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's a broken toe.
Definitely, that thing is waggling like a duck, and waddling like a duck there, going down pit lane, and that's not correct, Christian. That's not the way that a Cup Series car should be running. That's a little bit more than a Darlington stripe. That's looking like a trip behind the wall for Adam Kulikowski. But, get out the big sledge and call that the gap setter. And we'll see if he's taking tires. That'll help something. So Kulikowski going to go ahead and get tires, but he's got a lot more work to do. And as you said, that is going to put Brady Motes into position there. So with that, why don't we just select somebody at random here? Why don't we pull up Matthew George? How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see if we can make that work.
If you need me to get him, I can.
He's close enough. I think I can do it here. And so we have a chance to chat with number 8, Matthew George, who has been given a great run for his flatline Chevy out there, currently running in 11th place. And Matthew, what's it been like out there? How's it been running for you? And you feeling the Mark Martin mojo?
Well, it's loose, sketchy, and really hard to pass.
Very hard to pass indeed. A lot of drivers complaining about how sketchy it is out there. What do you think it's going to take to get you not only into that top 10, but it's become just so frequent that we see Matthew George just find his way up into the top 5 at the end of these races. What's it going to take to get up there into that top 5?
This race, some good luck. The last few weeks have not been so lucky for me. So some good luck, and not knocking the wall down.
Well, either way, you're doing a fabulous job out there, and we wish you the best of luck with the end of this race. And I think certainly Mark Martin is the type of driver that would just hold on to that car, just like you're talking about, not knock down the wall, and just be at the right place at the end. And so we wish you luck with that, my friend.
All right, thank you.
That's Matthew George checking in with us, and we'll put him back in. I almost put Christian into the flatline group. That would have been weird. But Matthew George checking in with us from the racetrack, and a lot of drivers choosing that choose cone and going to the low side. Matthew sticking with the high side. But this is big news out here as Brady Motes, Christian, he took that pit stop just before the caution came out. And
he's got fresher tires, too.
He does. He's got fresher tires than Vincent Arthur and Dustin Kleba, so technically he can hold them off. Vincent Arthur just got around Dustin Kleba, so as weird as it sounds, Kleba, he took the first stage, he looked unbeatable, and then in just a very short period of time, finds himself sitting in 3rd place at this restart.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, how Kleba is able to handle these passes. We've seen him be in the lead all night so far, so now we got to see how he does from behind somebody.
Checking in over on YouTube, also, Ronnie Norman to win. That's Blake Freeman, writing that one in.
You didn't add Ronnie to the poll, and they're showing their disappointment from that.
Well, I always put Ronnie in that list. Obviously, I'll have to try to do that in the future, but we're getting some write-ins here. We got 2 write-ins for Ronnie Norman. So we'll have to see where everybody votes. But we've got 6 votes in total so far. And Vincent Arthur people picking over Dustin Kleba, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, maybe some of those votes came right as Vincent passed Kleba. I personally voted for Vincent Arthur in that poll. I thought maybe, Vincent, he's gathering his stuff in the stage 1 and stage 2. He's going to be there in stage 3. And sure enough, he was able to get by Kleba here. Let's see how he can finish in stage 2. as we only got about 20 laps until stage 2.
Absolutely, lap 111 it'll be, but Vincent Arthur already to the lead, getting around Brady Moats and wasting no time, but Moats slotting into second there. Kleba still having to hold off and think about it in that third spot. Joey Stats in fourth and Brandon Dunford in fifth. Looks like Kleba...
What Vincent's hoping for right now is that Dustin Kleba doesn't get around Brady very quick. Vincent start pulling away from this battle.
Absolutely. Cut out a little bit there, Christian, but I understand what you're saying. I think Vincent wants his opportunity to kind of break away a little bit, put some distance in there, and looks like Stats ducking down a little bit on the low line, maybe coming off the corner a little bit heavy. But I see, looks like Kleba right up behind now, trying to take a look and see whether he can make it. But here comes Joey Stats down to the low side on Kleba.
Yeah, and Kleba going to be able to defend that position. He drove it real hard into turn 1, and will be able to keep it in front as we see an issue with Anthony Mackie in the 54.
Absolutely down on the apron and now bringing it back up onto the track. And exactly what you're talking about. This has allowed Vincent Arthur to do what he does best, and that's to start walking off the front. Fastest sector 1 time, fastest sector 2 time, fastest lap of the race for Vincent Arthur, 29.15.
Yeah, and that is 4/10 quicker than tonight's pole lap. So that is hooking and booking out here. And with Vincent being in the lead, I remember a couple weeks ago someone said that whenever you get in front, like it's the clean air is so important with these cars, because when you get behind a car, it just pushes to the wall. It gets super tight. So these guys, whenever they get behind somebody, are dealing with a different car, and that's what Kleba has come to find out. The car not handling as good as whenever you got that clean air.
Well, we watch on board with Arthur as he tries to put in another fast lap, fastest sector 1 time for himself, but not going to be fastest or faster than he was last lap, but a 29.21 that time. Still setting times faster than they qualified out there, and starting to put some time between himself and Brady Moats and Dustin Kleba. Dustin Kleba matching him, though. Brady Moats actually even faster than Vincent Arthur. So, I mean, Brady's feeling it tonight. He's putting in awesome lap times, and 29.17 that time, faster than both Arthur and Kleba.
Yeah, and these guys are the local, fast guys in NORA. So to put yourself in between them and run fast laps with them is definitely a motivation for Brady.
Question is, it's one thing as Arthur does a 29.15 again, and Kleba does a 29.19. The question is, you can go out there and you can run a fast lap or two, but can you keep doing that lap after lap after lap after lap? And that is really the keys of the great front runners that run in iRacing, is they're able to hot lap every single lap and not make a mistake. And so we'll see whether or not Moats has got what it takes to hang up here with this top 3 who are just putting in sizzling laps. I mean, Joey Stats back there, 29.28. Brandon Dunford at 29.43. Not that those aren't fast laps, but I mean, you're talking 0.2 faster for the leaders right now. And then my other question is, of course, we're going to come to that stage caution at 111, so I'm not sure. I don't know if these drivers will actually decide to pit at that point and take new tires, but if they don't, I mean, are we just wearing these tires a little bit too much trying to put in these hot laps?
I would say that everybody is going to come in at the stage, because after 5, maybe 10 laps, you got to get 4 tires. It's a product of this track. I mean, these guys are still setting fast laps, but in a matter of a few laps, they're going to go down to about half a second slower than what they were running. So I think everybody pits, but it's going to be a matter of who maybe, I wouldn't say 2 tires, but who has the best pit road. We saw the fastest pit stop be Vincent Arthur earlier tonight. Well, actually, I believe Josh Conover had it, but I believe he put 2 tires. So we're going to see who gets out front at the end of stage 2, because that more than likely will be the winner tonight because it's so hard to pass.
This last time down, it was Vincent Arthur who had a 51:23 pit lane time, so the fastest overall on pit lane. But we'll keep an eye on that and give you some updates on those pit lane times and pit box times. He did also have the fastest in the box at 14.85 seconds. Actually, I take that back. Fastest in the box was actually Jake Christenberry, 14.53 seconds that last time. And all of that, makes a difference. Certainly the accuracy getting into and out of your pit box and getting onto and off of pit lane, all of that adding up and playing a role in whether you're able to possibly pass another car in the pits. But Vincent Arthur doing what he needs to do out front. 0.8 of a second now the lead over Brady Motes. Brady got himself about a 0.3 of a second lead over Dustin Kleba, and they're still running right there. Vincent took that lead on the restart, and basically they've been running this way ever since. So I think someone's going to blink eventually. Just not sure who it's going to be. But Joey Stats not quite able to keep up with that sizzling pace. He's dropped back just over a second and a quarter now. And Jake Christenberry up into that 5th spot. He's gained a couple of positions tonight, and obviously the top Toyota runner. But currently running in 5th, and he's doing well, but he's still 1.67 seconds back. And to check in for the Ronnie Norman fan club, there he is. He's holding up a small train of cars. Got Josh Conover just behind, Timmy Harper. There's 5 or 6 cars embroiled in this battle right now. And it looks like just a moment ago it was Ronnie Norman who got around Josh Conover.
Yeah, I believe maybe Josh Conover was kind of holding these guys up, and now that Ronnie has gotten around them, he's going to start pulling away from Conover. But you can see, it's pretty much 6 cars directly in a line here, which is impressive that they're able to stay close together. That means they're all running similar lines, similar lap times. So these guys doing pretty good back here, considering, obviously not as good as Arthur, Kleba, and Motes lap time wise, but that may be because of just traffic. Because, like I said, whenever you're that close to somebody, it gets super tight.
Well, this is Norman, Conover, Harper, George, and Height all in this battle right here, along with Gladelich still hanging on here. So about 6 cars that are involved in this battle. But right now we look up in front, and it is, in fact, Kleba who has gotten around Brady Motes. Motes now settling back into 3rd. So that run up in 2nd place finally coming to an end for Motes. But it was a good run while it lasted. Here's the pass of Kleba getting by Brady Motes here just a moment ago, taking that look into the corner. That is as solid of a pass, getting it done as they come. So Kleba showing some more skill, making a pass there for 2nd place.
Yeah, and with that pass, Vincent was actually able to step away from Kleba a little bit more because they were side by side, and that kind of took the momentum away from Kleba. So Vincent, with I believe 1 lap to go here in the stage, as long as he doesn't get into the wall or anything, he will win this stage here.
Well, I think Vincent's starting to channel that inner Jeff Gordon and do what he does best, which is to be out in front, leading, and try to walk away a little bit with it. 1.6 seconds, that gap back to Dustin Kleba, who's managed to walk away about 0.6 of a second himself over Brady Motes. And again, this is your final lap. And actually, Vincent Arthur comes across as the winner of stage number 2. Dustin Kleba in 2nd, Brady Motes 3rd, Joey Stats in 4th, and Jake Christenberry in 5th. Fantastic run for these drivers. So we're going to let them make their pit stops. You won't miss anything here on VirtualRacing.Network. We'll be right back, and don't want to miss it. We've got a whole bunch of green flag racing yet to come. Will it be Vincent Arthur? Will it be Dustin Kleba? Will it be Brady Moats? Or will it be Ronnie Norman, who manages to get into victory lane? Stay tuned. We'll find out. Welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. I'm Trevor Greenfield, joined in the booth by Christian Snyder, and you just saw it live on your screen after stage number 2, Vincent Arthur taking victory with Dustin Kleba in second, and it was something else to watch. And now we've got Vincent Arthur joining us here in the booth. Vincent, you got a copy on me?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, Vincent, that was something else. It looked like you and Kleba were neck and neck coming out of the pits there, but you managed to get a little bit better of a stop time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice when the virtual crew helps out. And yeah, as soon as the jack dropped, I started wheel spinning, and I saw him launch, and I was like, I just gotta go for it, because I know track position is so key here. I was super glad to be able to get that get the track position on him. I didn't realize how bad it was. I mean, every time I was within a second, it's just the car would go tight, loose. It would switch around, and once I got the clean air, it you know, I was able to actually drive the car, and it was comfortable, and I feel like I could stay out here. But yeah, we'll just try to hold on here for the rest of the race.
Well, that was interesting to see Kleba so strong over the first half of the race, and then you did manage to get up there into the lead. Is there anything that you can do here for the remainder of this race that you haven't already done to try to take the victory?
Yeah, I think track position's key. Track position's been the one thing I haven't really had, and yeah, he's super quick on the short run, but I feel like I got really good mid-run speed till about 10 laps left in the run, and that's when he started to pull away again. So I think now that I got the track position, I'll be able to, you know, keep him behind for the short run, and then, you know, come the long run, hopefully then, you know, his car starts dealing with what I've been dealing with the entire race, and I can end up pulling away. But it'll be interesting to see what pit strategy pulls here, and it'll be a fun race to the end.
Big fan of Jeff Gordon. You ready to channel that inner Gordon and take victory?
Always.
That's Vincent Arthur checking in with us. We appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the race, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
So that was Vincent Arthur checking in here on the stage caution, and of course it's just about another 50-some laps to go, and he possibly will find himself in victory lane here at Darlington. And of course, with the competition that he's got out there with Dustin Kleba, Brady Moats, Joey Stats, and Ronnie Norman now into that 5th spot. Plus, you can't count out Josh Conover back in it in 6th. Timmy Harper now in 7th. I mean, there is some big guns that very possibly could come back up forward and give a big challenge to Vincent Arthur.
Yeah, certainly a lot of talent throughout the field, but Vincent's got to get away from Kleba early, like he said. He's got to get him in the short run, because Kleba is usually faster in that short run, as we see a good start here for Vincent and Kleba. So Brady Moat's actually going to be even with Kleba through 1 and 2 here.
Side by side they race, and now Moats ducks back a little bit. Here comes Stats on the outside. Stats able to hold that position for a moment and up into that third spot, and then Ronnie Norman tucking in fifth. Looks like Moat's going to be demoted back there to fourth, so moves Stats up into that final podium position. In the meantime,
that was a risky move going up on the outside, so impressive that he got that done.
Meantime, up front, Arthur able to hold on to that top position. You heard him talk about it in that interview. He is ready to use that track position to his best of his ability. And you're right, Stats having a moment, dipping down to the inside. Now Norman able to get underneath Brady Moats for that fourth spot. And we still got side-by-side just behind. That's Josh Conover and Timmy Harper racing side-by-side for that position as well. Conover winning that battle, though.
Yeah, I'm glad they got a single file before turn 2 there, because we saw last night, side by side out of 2 was the reason for 3 of the 4 cautions that we had.
Well, Joey Stats very happy to get up there into that third spot. Brady Moats settling back here into fourth, and just behind Ronnie Norman and his good friend Josh Conover racing in that 5th and 6th position, but certainly teammates here at Flatline Motorsports. And there goes Josh Conover way down to the inside. He got very loose coming off the corner.
Yeah, he didn't have the car planted enough on the straightaway. It was kind of an uneven kind of bump that he was on coming out of turn 2 there. And it didn't help being underneath Ronnie. He's trying to pull the wheel as much as he can to keep it off of him, and he just stepped out and got sideways.
Well, now looking at the back of Timmy Harper, and Conover was just a couple of, or just a position ahead, and fortunate to only lose 1 position, but every position means something here at Darlington. Easier said than done to get around another driver, and now he's going to have to work underneath that Aflac duck extra hard. And actually, he's got Christenberry now going by on the left. There you can see out that driver's window, it's Christenberry who gets by, and Conover ducks down in front of Cody Height and gets put up into the wall.
Man, that's unfortunate there. That was a pretty hard hit for the 25. Hopefully a toe's not knocked out of it. But in the meantime here, Kleba has ran down Vincent and is absolutely giving him a hard time right now. He is pushing it for all he's got up here in first and second.
This is the challenge for the lead. This is what we were hoping to see. Sincere challenge between Dustin Kleba and Vincent Arthur. Kleba taking pole position, Arthur starting in second, and that is pretty much where they've run all night long. Of course, Kleba taking the first couple of stages, the first stage, and then Arthur coming back to take the second stage. Here's Kleba trying to work underneath him. This is just a game of patience right now for Kleba, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a game of mirror driving for Vincent, because he's got to try to take the lane that Kleba wants. And right now, Kleba running the inside in 3 and 4, but Kleba definitely doesn't want to ride right behind Vincent. So every time going into the corner, you're going to see him poke his nose a little bit to the left to try to get some clean air on his nose so that it gets planted, and he's able to have a good run off the corner. As you can see, he's got a good run here. He's going to look low. Vincent going to come down and cut him off a little bit, but maybe not enough. Oh, he got close to his corner there.
Nose to tail they run, and Kleba keeps trying to take that position away from Arthur as they march down into turns 1 and 2. It is Kleba who still can't seem to get by that number 24. I think that Jeff Gordon magic of being able to be a little bit wider than than that car is in real life. Being able to keep that car behind at bay. Kleba just looking for any way possible to get by. If he's got a faster car, he's certainly looking to get by so that he could put some distance on Arthur. But Arthur doing a fabulous job of holding him off thus far.
Yeah, with Kleba being behind Vincent right now, I think he's running off his tires a little bit more than what Vincent is, because Vincent can kind of control where Kleba goes. So, like Vincent said, he's going to be better in the medium to long run here because of Dustin trying to run him down and put pressure on him.
Well, this is as close as they have run nose to tail, and the yellow flag comes out. I think it's for Brady Moats, possibly. He seems to be falling down the order, and he was down there on the apron. Let's go ahead and take a look. Looks like Ronnie Norman got by just a moment before that. Back it up here. See if we can tell what happened to Moats. Getting very loose coming off the corner. And does a fantastic job of recovering that car after a full 360-degree spin. Brady Moats gets the Skilled Driver of the Night award.
I don't know about that. Ronnie Norman with an amazing job getting by him. He might be asking his crew for a change of pants when he comes into the pit stop. Watch this. Whew.
Wow. We'll watch it from Norman's point of view here in just a second and see what that was like. But my goodness me, that was something else. Let's watch on board here. This is a close call for Ronnie Norman. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he saw Brady turn back toward the outside wall, so he then committed to the bottom. He wasn't expecting Brady to get the wheels back the whole way to the left. But here are pit stops here, and this is an important one. You might be able to stretch this to the end. You got 48, maybe 47 laps to go to the end, so it's going to be stretching it. But we did see Tim Harper make it 48 laps, I believe, or it might have been 46, that he was able to make it there in stage one. So this is the important stop right here.
This is the big stop right now to determine who's going to have that track position at the end of this one.
Wow, Kleba took two.
Kleba taking 2 tires. I wonder what Vincent Arthur is thinking right now. Was that the right call, do you think, Christian? Who made the right call there? Take 4 or take that track position and be up in front with 2?
Man, I mean, track position is really important. Vincent said that, but I don't know. 2 tires is maybe not the right call, but I mean, if anybody can hang on to it, it'll be Kleba. But for the first few laps, Vincent's going to have a little bit of a better car.
Well, I'm sending.
You see the pole there. Everyone kind of split between Vincent and Kleba, but Vincent wins the pole over in the chat.
And absolutely, Vincent Arthur taking that pole. And, of course, you have to factor in a couple of write-in votes there for Ronnie Norman. He's still a factor in tonight's race. My latest question posed to the group: did Dustin Kleba make the right call on 2 tires? Yes or no? Answer in the chat in our poll, and your vote will be recorded, and we'll announce the winner of that later on. But that is such a tough call and one of those strategy key decisions. Interesting to find out. And if we get another yellow, perhaps we'll talk to Dustin Kleba this next time and see what his thoughts are after a little while. See whether he felt like it was worth it. But if we go green flag to the end, I mean,
there's going to be some people running out of fuel if we go green to the end. You got to be turning the engine off under caution here, saving as much as you can. And I'm not exactly sure if I'm hearing that right now. So
I think Kleba is.
Yes, Kleba is shutting the engine off, or at least clutching it. I did see the whole way down to 300 RPMs there.
Absolutely.
And yes, Vincent as well is shutting the engine off as well.
I just saw a YouTube video. I forget the person who published it, but they went through all of these different methods of fuel saving, and absolutely, without a doubt, not just clutching, but clutching and turning off the engine is by far the most efficient way to save fuel. So these drivers know exactly what they're doing. They know all the tricks of the trade. and just trying to stretch these tanks out. They may think it is going to go green till the end, and if so, if you get that close, would you want to have to pit unnecessarily, or would you want to have to pit just because you're not sure? I mean, I can't see either one of these two drivers blinking and taking that pit stop if they think they can fuel save. So I wonder if we're going to see them try to fuel save and maybe coast through some of these corners if they think it's going to be that close.
It's definitely a possibility, but like you said with the fuel-saving techniques, I learned mine from Brad Keselowski at Pocono one year when he was shutting his engine off. I started kind of taking after that, and my first win in NORA actually was a fuel-saving win. I won by an entire lap by saving fuel, so that was an interesting one for me. But we see Kleba take off. He's got a good distance here between Vincent Arthur, and Vincent getting a little bit of trouble from Stats. Peeked under him for a second, but Vincent able to pull ahead of him.
Absolutely, Stats able to do so, and as you said, it's always fun to win one of those fuel mileage races because, like you said, you can win by a whole lap, and it really makes you feel like the king by doing that. But certainly here tonight, we'll see whether this turns into a fuel mileage race or not. Kleba taken off, and I don't think he's trying to clutch and coast. I think right now he's not trying to just coast through these corners. He is going to try to win this one on pace. Vincent Arthur holding tight in second place there. 20-year-old out of Manchester, Maryland, been having a fantastic run here tonight. It's gonna be something else to see whether or not that two-tire call by Kleba is going to end up being the right call. But here's Harper and Christenberry racing it out for that fourth spot. Timmy Harper up 11 positions it is so far tonight, and he's having a great run. You know, we've seen Timmy up and down in the series results, but he is a driver with the capability of turning in a top 5 every single time behind that wheel.
Yeah, anytime that he doesn't find himself in a controversial moment, he's able to find himself in the top 5. Obviously, last night he sent somebody to the moon. We saw earlier in the season him and Brian Jones in the Truck Series getting into it. Those races weren't good finishes, but he is able to have a good run here tonight as he gets by Christenberry, who is very loose there. Good save, but he's going to lose 3 spots.
Christenberry dove by him and then got super loose, and here he is floating back through the field. So obviously Christenberry really struggling with that car. Now finds
his family
way.
Just checked in chat, rooting him on, and that moment happened. But he still has time to recover, so I wouldn't worry or panic at this moment. I think he's going to be able to get back.
Well, and there he's gone back to 7th, but here he's going to make a pass around Ronnie Norman and gets his way back up into 6th. Next car up will be Cody Height for Harper Motorsports, who himself has gained 11 spots, so running in 5th place. And then he'll be right back where he started again. So he'll have that opportunity. Speaking of drivers that are starting to materialize at the front, there's Matthew George, who we were talking about. We were wondering how, he was saying he was struggling, but now he's in the top 10, racing side by side with Brady Motes, who's starting to come forward again. And we also this has not gotten away from Vincent Arthur. He's just 1 second back at the moment. However, he is starting to have an ever increasingly closer Joey Stats closing in behind him in 3rd place.
I think what he's been doing for the past couple of laps is kind of just pacing himself and coasting into the corner to save some fuel. And now we see that Kleba is also doing that, as he kind of lost a little bit of time back there to Vincent, so he might be saving now.
So, and indeed, we'll watch their line here into the corner. Starting to feed it in a little bit early for Arthur. Do wonder if he isn't alternating his laps of fuel saving and not, and certainly Kleba would be aware of that. He'd be watching and saying, hey, if I'm gaining that much, it must be because Arthur is doing a little bit of fuel saving back there. But we'll watch and find out who has what it takes over the long run. Joey Stats now just about to try to take an opportunity to dive underneath or on the outside possibly of Arthur. Always a dangerous proposition. Just a moment ago, we did have this happen. This was Chad Engel bringing it in, and then I think tries to pull it into the gap between the wall. I think that's it for Engel.
Yeah, that garage open does not work here at Darlington. Some tracks it does, but not here.
I'd be so cool if you could just pull it behind the wall and, like, you know, they direct you back to your garage and
yeah.
you pull it in and, you know, they get out the big sledge and there's somebody who goes underneath the car and, you know, the whole team goes to work. I think that's iRacing, you know, 2035 before we see that added. And then, you know, right after that we'll get rain on iRacing.
But there are a couple tracks, like I said, you know, Martinsville, you can get into the garage area. Phoenix, you can go to Victory Lane there at Phoenix. So there are a couple of tracks that you can get into the garage area at.
That is very cool. But, love that opportunity. Stats getting
Joey
up
Stats
into the wall.
That's not going to really affect him that much. Like I said earlier, it's just a stripe. He's fine. These cars can beat off the wall and they're completely fine afterwards.
But if you notice, that gap between Kleba and Arthur has come down significantly. That's only 0.3 of a second now.
Yeah, this could either be because of the 2 tires that Kleba took. His left sides are finally getting too old to handle, or it could be that Kleba is saving fuel a little bit and not pushing it as hard. So we got to see if Vincent's going to be able to get by him.
Well, easier said than done to pass Kleba, but if the tires are starting to become a factor, it does make it a little bit easier for Arthur. Right now, checking in over on the YouTube chat, 60% saying that it was not the right call to only take 2 tires. Getting in quite a few votes so far, so still a little bit of time to put in your vote. Megan Beadle, Jake Christenberry's sister, and dad are rooting for him here tonight. We love you, Jake. Well, Jake putting in a great performance out there, currently running in 5th place and doing a great job. Like I said, he's closing back up on Timmy Harper. That's where he was before. So not long before we see possibly Christenberry really starting to challenge for one of these top positions. And he's got that awesome paint job on there. I have no idea what that is a throwback to, but it looks really cool with the Air Jordan on there.
Yeah, I believe it was I think Eric Jones that ran that in the truck series, possibly. It was a truck paint scheme, but he incorporated it over to the Cup car, which it really looks nice. And of course, you know, Michael Jordan, big in NASCAR, owning a team over there in the Cup series, so kind of representing him with that paint scheme.
Absolutely. And I was just listening to Dale Jr.'s show the other day, and he had Reddick on and talking about meeting Michael Jordan and how cool of an opportunity that was. But
Reddick probably had to look up pretty high there because Reddick's a short guy.
Indeed. And just a lot of great bits out of that. I love that show. But certainly one of those just talking about how you know, all these drivers nowadays, they all use the simulators. They're all using basically iRacing, if not a proper simulator from the manufacturers as well. But just talking about how talent only goes so far and how you have to really put in the work. We just saw Joey Stats get sideways once again there on the track. But, you know, he managed to climb up in NASCAR quite a long ways, and then it's just sort of like you hit your peak that you can go with just talent, and it was at that point he realized how hard he had to work, and so now his work ethic is pretty crazy. He loves working out. He'd work out even if he didn't have to, but all of that has come about since getting really up to the top level of NASCAR. And it's kind of like John and Nora. I mean, you know, you can be a big fish in a small pond and go out there in the official races and do, you know, 2,000 iRating races and stuff like that and win handily, but you step up into a big league like this, it's like stepping up into a 4K or a 5K official race. I mean, Kleba with his 4K rating, Vincent Arthur with a 5K rating, Joey Stats a 3K rating. a lot of these drivers, very experienced drivers, and you can only go so far before you got to start really utilizing all of the techniques that are possible, the clutching and coasting, the tire calls, how to get in and off a pit road faster. At some point, it's not just good enough to be good. You got to be great in order to win one of these races.
Yeah, and you were talking about peaking. I believe I peaked talent-wise in season 1 here in NORA whenever I won the championship. I was kind of like, yep, I'm happy with that. I got a championship. Now I don't have to go for another, so I kind of just ran part-time ever since then. but yeah, season 1, there wasn't many guys here in NORA. We had 10 to 15 guys a race, and now we're getting these 20-car, 30-car fields, and more guys have stepped up and better guys have come in and kind of pushed everybody to their limits. And everyone jokes whenever they see Kleba join the session, they're like, okay, well, it's a battle for second. But we can see that's not true every time. Vincent Arthur is right there trying to get the win. And someone in chat said Kleba's going to win every race from here on out. Also not true. We saw him, wreck at Dover. We see guys like Vincent Stats and all of them have good runs. And then we saw in the truck series, Jacob Gladelich steal one whenever the leaders wrecked each other. So anything can happen in NORA.
Absolutely, anything can happen. Dreams can come true in the NORA Cup Series and the NORA Truck Series. You just got to believe. You got to believe in yourself. And I understand why you quit after one season winning that championship, Christian. You retire on that big payout at the end of the season and
Exactly.
go buy yourself the big house and all those fancy cars. So I know what that's all about. It's like the Mika Hakkinen approach over in Formula One or Nico Rosberg. Just take that big payday and buy yourself the fancy yacht, and there you are off in the distance. Getting paid to be a consultant now. But Dustin Kleba still holding on here with just over 20 laps to go. Vincent Arthur holding on to second place. He had gotten a little bit closer, but right now about 0.4 of a second back. Joey Stats about another second back, and Joey has been right up on the backside of Vincent, but has gotten loose off of a couple of corners. So, it's tough to say that he's going to be able to hang on. He can hang on to third, but I don't think he can hang on to the back end of Arthur and Kleba with the type of pace that they're putting in. Looking a little bit further back, here's Christenberry trying to take a move and trying to possibly take an opportunity to make a pass on Timmy Harper there for fourth place. And good news for Harper is if he gets injured, he'll get paid to miss work. So Christenberry gets that pass done, and his fan club, Megan Beadle, and family watching on and be able to see their Jake making some passes out there on the track and getting up into that top 5. Congratulations to them and to him.
We got a battle for the lead.
And it's gotten that close once again at 20 to go. Which gives us this chance to bring up the 20 to go, presented by Snyder Graphics, as Vincent Arthur takes a look down to the inside with 20 to go. He gets by. It's Vincent Arthur who manages to cruise by Dustin Kleba, and is that simply the tires becoming a factor?
It could be the tires, but we just saw Kleba lose a half a second in one lap. So I think maybe he is now saving fuel. But it was kind of fitting there. The 20 to go Snyder Graphics, that's a Snyder Graphics paint scheme that just took the lead with 20 to go.
Well, certainly you can see it there on your screen. If you need a new wrap for your vehicle, head on over to Facebook.com. Snyder Graphics, proud presenting sponsor of the 20 to go segment here on VirtualRacing.Network for the NORA Cup and Truck Series. Great to have you part of the team here, Christian Snyder, as well, up here in the booth. You make these races so much more exciting for people to listen to, other than me just droning on and on and on. But this is an exciting one here at the front. Vincent Arthur for Flatline Motorsports has emerged back at the front. Dustin Kleba there in KPR Motorsports, red, white, and blue colors, holding on to second, and he's going backwards even more. So now that's moved up to about 0.7 of a second. And I do have to wonder, I mean, the lap time's now up in the 30-second bracket. This would be the place where the tires would really start to be a factor if they were. But as you said, it could be fuel savings as well. We just have to
I believe
watch
it
on
is.
to find
If
out.
you jump on board with Vincent, he is clutching it into the corners. So these guys are very tight on fuel. He is pushing the clutch down into the corner right there.
Kleba clutching it well out of the corner. I mean, this is not just through the corner, but this is well backing up the corner. We'll listen on board here. Not that time through, but again, you have to also know that sometimes applying a little bit of throttle is a way that you get the car to settle, so you can't just clutch every single corner. There, he can do it heading into turn 3, and he gets a lot of time not accelerating, and that does save quite a bit of fuel for these drivers. So he'll be watching his fuel gauge there. He'll have fuel software. I don't know if he works with a spotter full time, but they'll all be watching that fuel data and checking what his numbers are and how many, what his usage is. And so he'll be monitoring that. He'll be monitoring his right foot and clutching and coasting as much as he can. Let's listen on board with Arthur and see if he's trying to do the same thing. So as we
I believe that corner he didn't, but maybe in 1 and 2 here he will here. We'll have to see.
Indeed he
does.
is. So
He's not doing it as long though. He's getting back into the throttle in the apex and then driving it off the corner. But through the straightaway, these guys are not full throttle. They're maybe like 80% throttle, 90% throttle, still saving fuel even on the straightaways.
Well, you can hear it much more so in 3 and 4. Arthur saving fuel, Kleba saving fuel. Will either one of them, I mean, with how aggressive they are fuel saving, it's no guarantee that they're going to make it. I mean, they may be just doing everything they can to fuel save out there. We may see something pretty radical in the last 5 laps if they really feel like they're not going to make it. But, you know, you would not want to be the one who is caught having to make that pit stop while the other one just comes across the line on fumes.
And something to update, I'm seeing Brady Moats possibly in pit road. Maybe something happened there. He is 1 lap down now, so curious to see why he made a pit stop. Maybe thinking that 4 tires might be able to get him something, but he's 1 lap down, so I don't think there's enough time.
You know, maybe just thinking he wasn't going to make it on fuel. I mean, it seems presumptive, but if he feels like everybody's going to have to pit, maybe that's the call. We see another car coming down there. That's Cody Height. Cody Height on YouTube, as he's known, making his final pit stop and taking on a little bit of... Oh, and there's Joey Stats. He's making a pit stop too. So I think a lot of these drivers really feeling like fuel going to be the factor here in making that pit stop with 10 to go. But these two, who's going to flinch first? Vincent Arthur in the top spot, Kleba in second, and now that moves Jake Christianberry. So Megan there rooting on Jake, seeing him up in a podium spot. If Jake can hang on, he'll be talking to us in the Abby Sweet Treats Home Bakery Victory Circle discussion here at the end. And that would certainly be something pretty awesome for him to do. But Vincent Arthur still out there in the lead. Kleba back 0.7 of a second. I mean, this is going to come down to who can survive with the most fuel at the end. One of these guys is probably going to run out of fuel. I thought it might be tires that might be the issue, but it very likely could be fuel.
And these type of races, you know, I do absolutely love whenever it comes down to fuel strategy at like 1.5 tracks or lower. But I tell you what, whenever it comes down to fuel strategy at like plate races, man, there's nothing worse. There is nothing worse than fuel mileage at plate races because you cannot save fuel there.
So our second poll of the night completed. Did Dustin Kleba make the right call on 2 tires? Resounding response, no, at 71%. Did not make the right call. And you'd have to say, I mean, he ended up getting passed by Vincent Arthur in this segment, and I would say I would agree. I mean, basically hindsight is 20/20, but you know, he only gained that 1 spot by taking 2 tires. It'd be different if like you were going to gain 5 spots and take the lead or something like that, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not out here to second guess him, and certainly he's the one who's put in the fast laps, but I don't know if I'd want to be left in that position with 5 laps to go and Vincent Arthur having the fresh left side tires. Either way, 0.3 of a second now. He's getting closer. Kleba is. I wonder if Arthur is starting to sense that he won't be able to make it on fuel. We're going to have to watch and find out. Just 5 to go this time. Barney the flagman giving him a high five as they come around. 5.
He's not going to be able to save. Kleba has stopped saving, so now Arthur has to push it. He's in a position where he's got to go now.
I mean,
here at that corner, he did not clutch it this time.
So we're on to see who's got the best car at the end of this race. Will we stay green till the end? We'll get a chance to see who's got the mustard under the hood. Is it going to be Vincent Arthur or Dustin Kleba? Will both of them run out of fuel? Will either one take each other out? Will they crash into this labbed car? They're going to have to duck under that 91 car there and be very skillful at doing it, and they just barely squeak by as he drifts up the track. Kleba just getting through there behind, 0.3 of a second separating first and second right now.
See, I think the better call for the 91 would have been to dive down to the bottom, get off the throttle, let those 2 race. You know, racing the leaders with 4 to go is just not the right move. But these guys, 3 to go now, and Kleba's still there. He's got a chance.
And we do see that Christenberry had to come in. I think he's sensing that he's going to be out of fuel, perhaps not doing as aggressive of fuel saving as these 2 front runners. Kleba got really close there heading into the corner, but Arthur got off the corner much better. 0.2 of a second, 2 laps to go. Is it going to be Vincent Arthur? Will they both be able to survive with the amount of fuel that they have on board? That is the question. Just 2 laps remain. This time by Barney the flagman will have the white flag in the air. Vincent Arthur will take the white flag in the lead. Will he stay in the lead at the end of this one? You can see Kleba closing in here as they head into turns 1 and 2. Kleba right on the bumper of Vincent Arthur.
Oh, he's going to look low here.
He's going to
man.
He's going to look low. He'll look high exiting the corner. Will Kleba try to stuff it under here in turn 3? And he goes for it. And he goes up into the wall. He's going to ride the wall. And Kleba is going to try to survive to the victory. And he does. It's Kleba.
No, he doesn't. Oh,
my goodness.
Now, I don't know. There is a rule that you're not allowed using the wall at Martinsville, so I don't know how Josh is going to take this one. Oh, man, that got exciting, but I don't know the rules. Wow. I did not see that coming.
Unofficial results say Dustin Kleba by 3/100ths of a second over Vincent Arthur, with Ronnie Norman hanging on in 3rd, and Matthew George, we were talking about it, surviving and ending up in 4th place. Will that be where they are classified at the end of this one? Christian, you're going to have to see if you can figure out how this one's going to play out, and maybe find out from Josh what's going to happen here. But that was something else as Dustin Kleba makes a heck of a move. Let's watch that one more time. We're going to watch the whole white flag here. And this is Dustin Kleba following Arthur. He was 0.3 of a second back, and he knew that he was going to have to do something very aggressive. He first starts by looking high. Then he looks low here, exiting the corner. We thought maybe he might try it there. Well, he was running out of real estate. You know, as you talked about, you don't want to be side by side exiting too. So Kleba does the most desperate thing possible. does the full send into the corner and runs up the track, scrapes the wall. Who knew that you could even do this? And he comes across the line. Arthur applies the right front to Kleba and spins him out, but still not even good enough to take unofficial victory here. Arthur has got to be absolutely livid after that.
Well, here's the thing. Intentional wrecking is also very frowned upon and can be a penalty. And I mean, that's as intentional as you can get. Going to the line, he hooked him. So I don't know if Kleba's move was legal, and I don't know if Vincent's move is legal. So there is a small possibility that Ronnie Norman just won this race. There's a small possibility.
Well, we'll get a chance to hopefully chat with all three of them heading into the Abbey Sweet Treats Victory Circle, and one of them will be declared the winner, I'm sure. Right on board here with Vincent Arthur as we head into the corner, and you'll have to watch and see. There goes Kleba by up into the wall.
If you ride on board with him, his throttle is hung the entire corner. And then obviously, yeah, he hooked him intentionally there. So we'll have to see what the call is from Josh Conover, the official results.
And, you know, it's interesting. I'm sure he was very upset, but if Arthur had just stayed straight there and accepted whatever was going to happen, which it didn't end up changing the results even unofficially, but if he had just accepted that, it would have been Arthur for sure if Kleba was penalized. So with that, we'll take a chance here to step aside for just a moment. We're going to catch our breath, and we'll be right back with the unofficial results. Stay tuned here on VirtualRacing.Network. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. You saw it right here. The pass for the win, or was it? Dustin Kleba, I mean, that's as full send as it gets. He fully sent it into turn 3 and ended up riding up the track into turn number 4 and into the wall. Will he be penalized for it? We're going to find out here soon enough before the end of this one. But Vincent Arthur tentatively finishes in second place. In third is Ronnie Norman, and I know the Ronnie Norman fan club out there wanting to find out. Cody Reeder out there checking in. Dustin's going to win. Well, he did in fact win. Sean Briscoe checking in. Great to have you in the YouTube chat there, Sean. 20 viewers now checking in with us. Crazy finish. That was fun to watch. Dustin gave it his all. I mean, he gave it his all for sure. There's no doubt. He left nothing on the table, Christian. That was sending it like I've never seen it sent before. And certainly that's not to take away from Vincent Arthur's awesome run here tonight. But just finishing out the results, Jacob Gladelich in 5th. Matthew George, I forgot to mention there, in 4th place. Timmy Harper in 6th place. Great run from him. Christopher Thomas in 7th. Joey Stats in 8th. Brady Motes in 9th. Jake Christenberry with the Jake Christenberry fan club out there in 10th place. Cody Height in 11th. Brandon Dunford takes 12th. Anthony Mackey in 13th. Josh Conover, an unfortunate finish here tonight, all the way back in 14th position. Not where we're used to seeing him. Chad Engel in 15th. Adam Kulikowski in 16th. Josh Curry ending up in 17th place. Zachary Taylor in 18th. And finishing up the order tonight, 19th belonging to Nick Geilis. And Matthew Hibbs really not even getting going tonight. Unfortunate for him. I know he was a late starter. But there you can see in the background of the transpiring that went on with Dustin Kleba flying up into the wall. What will happen here? The unofficial race results pending post-race scrutineering, and we'll certainly let you know more on that in the near future. But I think there's a chance we can get Ronnie Norman in here, and in fact, there he is. The guy who finishes third, and that by itself would have been one heck of a thing there, Ronnie. A fantastic run by yourself to get up into that third spot. We didn't see you up in there all night long, but with everything that played out there at the end, wondering if you have an update as to any potential penalties or whether or not Ronnie Norman might actually be declared as the winner tonight.
Yeah, no, I was pretty much MIA all night here tonight. So to be up here talking to you boys right now, I am completely thrilled with it. But no, I actually have no clue. I think they did go and verify that it is illegal to hit the wall. So I think we're just kind of waiting for the admins to figure out what to do here. I did talk to Vincent. He said he just spun Dustin there at the line to try to like fix the scoring. He thought maybe he could get around him there, but that's all that was. He didn't do it out of like mad. He just said he tried to spin him that way he could get like, because technically he would have won if he didn't wall, ride it out at force. So, but no, other than that, I knew starting that last run there that we were, really close on fuel. So right from the beginning, I just started saving as much as I could, and I actually saved a little bit too much. I had an extra lap of fuel that I could have ran off. So I didn't know if I was going to get third. I seen Jake Christenberry there was still in front of me for a while, and then he dipped off with 3 to go. So I was like, wow, like I'm going to get a podium. Like, holy cow. So kept the car pretty clean all night. Like I said, this car did not feel good for me all night tonight. I'm happy to get out of this place. The car was rough. It was definitely rough. I mean, if you're up there watching Kleba and Vincent, it probably looked pretty smooth. So, but no, other than that, fun race. Happy to be up here, another top 5. Got a top 5 in the trucks last night, so a pair of top 5s here this week. After last week, man, I needed something after Kansas, so got her done, and yeah, here we go.
Well, and certainly, you're still up there in the points and have a great chance at this championship as we continue to wind on and get closer to the playoffs. But, also a great night for Flatline. We weren't sure how this was going to work out tonight, but Vincent able to potentially take the victory. We're still waiting on final word for that. But Vincent and yourself, Matthew George, we talked to him at the caution, and he was back there in like 11th place, just wondering if he was even going to get up there. But all 3 of you able to get up into the top 5 here, so kind of back on track with where Flatline is used to being.
Yeah, no, it's always nice seeing 3 of us up here in the top 5. But yeah, I mean, with Vincent and Kleba, with getting stage points, they're just going to hog all of them probably the rest of the season. So you got to do some weird strategy out here to try to get some extra points. But yeah, no, having Matthew George get up here with a 4th, might slip into 3rd. I think if anything comes down to it, I think maybe Dustin will get an EOL and probably drop to 6th, I think. So maybe it'll be a Flatline 1, 2, 3. But like I said, that's just up to the admin, so we'll just have to wait and find out. But yeah, no, like I said, happy with the race, and just excited enough to kill the car and bring it home up front.
You think your throwback scheme had anything to do with getting some of that juju in the car here tonight at Darlington? And anybody else that you'd like to thank before we move on tonight?
I hope it did something. I might have to get a hold of Snyder Graphics to just make me a throwback scheme every week, so that way it guarantees me a top 5 or podium. So. But no, I definitely want to thank Great Clips for being on the car for the race for the throwback. FanDuel, McAllister Reynolds of Columbus, Indiana. I want to thank VirtualRacing.Network for broadcasting our races here for NORA. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting in general. Thanks to Josh for putting on this league, and congrats to whoever won the race tonight. And yeah, shout out to Matthew for getting back up here with us, and just shout out to everybody that watches and comments in the chat and tags along week in and week out. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, our pleasure, and great to chat with you here, Ronnie, and thanks for setting up all these broadcasts. Of course, a lot of people don't know it was Ronnie who was looking for a broadcaster, and we all ended up talking over it, and it's worked out very well. So thank you, Ronnie, and we'll see you next week at North Wilkesboro, my friend.
We'll be there. Make sure to go get some Abby Sweet Treats.
You betcha. Abby's Sweet Treats Home Bakery, the official presenting sponsor of NORA Cup Series and Truck Series, and we'll be looking forward to that. I can't wait to get my cookies in the mail. That is going to be something else, Christian. In the meantime, I think Christian has managed to catch up with our second place finisher, or was he, Vincent Arthur?
Yeah, we're still undetermined whether he is the winner or the second place finisher. But either way, Vincent, you had a incredible run tonight. And if it does turn out that you lost it, that's it's going to be unfortunate. But definitely deserving the win tonight. Tell us your opinion first of all on that last lap move and how your race turned out here tonight.
Yeah, the last lap move is illegal. There's a rule in the rule book, and Nick had read it right before I got pulled into the room there, but you can't pull a Ross Chastain, so at least he'll be EOL'd for that one, and there's some speculation that I'll get EOL'd for turning him, but I was turning him to try to get the scoring correct for you guys up in the booth, but it'll be what it's going to be. We'll figure out tomorrow. Josh said the results will be reviewed tomorrow, but I mean, hell of a race overall. That last run was a lot of fun, just fuel saving all of us. I had run out as soon as I touched the line, so I got that number correct, and I knew that getting clean air, I'd rather be out front and have to save fuel than to try to do what Kleba did and catch me there at the end and pass me. So it was a pretty good race overall. Definitely did not have the car probably straight up to beat him, but the fuel race came down to the wire and was a lot of fun. So it'll be what it's going to be. I have a feeling we'll probably both get sent to the end here, but it is what it is. It was a fun race.
Yeah, and you told me earlier this week that that's your favorite paint scheme. You used to run it back in I think you said NASCAR 03, I think you told me, or 04. So I mean, if you do get the win, you put your favorite paint scheme in victory lane at one of your favorite tracks. So we'll obviously see tomorrow what the results are because it's so late tonight already. But again, congrats on second place, first place, fifth place, whatever it turns out to be. Anyone you want to give a shout out to and thank for tonight's performance here?
Yeah, I got to thank Josh Conover and Flatline Motorsports and everybody over there for giving me the opportunity to race these cars at this track and the series. Got to thank you and Snyder's Graphics for putting together this lovely paint scheme. It was an absolute joy to ride, to drive in this thing, and just an overall good weekend. Got to thank Red Bull, Exalta, Pepsi, everybody who helps this deal go on, and thank you guys for the broadcast.
All right, again, congrats on wherever it turns out that you finish. Great run tonight.
Thanks, man.
And Trevor, I believe you caught up with our winner or our sixth place finish or wherever he is finishing.
Yes, I did manage to get Dustin Kleba, and he's got the champagne in one hand, but I don't know if he's going to get to celebrate for too long. Dustin Kleba joining us here in the Abby Sweet Treats Victory Circle discussion. Dustin, first of all, let's talk about this race here tonight. That was one heck of a run from yourself, and of course you led through the first stage of this race. Things were looking pretty good for you for the end, and but Vincent seemed to have the car to beat here tonight. What was your feeling coming into the end of this race, and certainly as you got to the fuel saving that was necessary?
Yeah, it was a crazy race. It was really fun. I think Vincent and I were literally neck and neck. I'm not sure either one of us had an advantage over the other. It was kind of just whoever was in front of the other. Dirty air was absolutely crazy at this track. I never felt anything like that. Out in the lead, you're just able to kind of float the corners, point wherever you need to go, and you just do what you need to do. And then once I got behind there after the yellow came out during green flag stops, I couldn't drive anymore. I couldn't turn. One, it would plow like a dump truck. Two, and then three, it would plow, and then coming out of 4, it would snap, and it was garbage. So I think we were a lot closer than what the times looked like. We were just talking before. I had him, I think in 1 and 2, I'd get him for about a tenth and a half, and then 3 and 4, he would just get it right back. I said earlier, this is one of the most stressful races, just because seeing that relative change so drastically is crazy. Usually when we're battling it out, it's within half a tenth or so a lap, but when you're going up, you're up by a second and a half, and then the next corner you're only up by 1 second. Like it's crazy. But no, great race by him. He did an absolutely amazing job. Was able to get around me there, had a well-timed caution to get the lead, and then that last pit stop, I knew we only had 10 or so, it was probably about 12, 15 laps on our tires, so I just took 2 because I knew track position was that important. And took 2 tires, and once we got going there, I looked down and saw that we were about a lap and a half short on fuel, and realized that we need to go into economy mode. From there, it was just you stop shifting, you lift early, try and use the least amount of brake as possible, and man, the last handful of laps there, it's just a mind game. I tried to stay in front of Vincent as much as I could, but once he caught me, he followed me for a while, then he got a good run off too, dipped his nose inside me and inside the my corner, and I didn't want to chop him. We had such a great race so far. So I probably wasn't as aggressive as what I should have been to keep the lead, but let him take the lead, and then hope that we could just run it out to the end, and hope that he'd run out of gas, and I ran out of gas coming to the line backwards. So yeah, fun race.
It was super close on the fuel, and we could hear both of you. We were flipping back and forth between your 2 cars and listening to you clutch and coast through the corners, and a little bit more aggressive in 3 and 4, and he was a little bit more aggressive in 1 and 2 with that. But you make the decision coming into 3 and 4. We can see it on the screen right now. You say, we're going to send it. I'm not even thinking about what's going to happen here. I mean, did you know that it was going to result in you going up and tapping the wall? Was it just you weren't even thinking about it and you just wanted to send it? What was going through your mind when you decided to pull that move?
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was a rule, I guess. I thought the rule was you couldn't stay on the wall and use the wall through the corner. So my idea was, I knew I couldn't get around him clean, and I didn't want to wreck him. I wanted to make sure he still finished second. And so my idea was to just go down into the corner and try and do a slide job, and I hit the brake, tried to slow myself, and I couldn't get slow enough, and basically bounced right off the wall, and I dropped a gear and got off the wall as quick as I could, and hit the gas after that, and the rest is history, I guess.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch tonight. You made for a heck of a show there, especially at the end between you two trying to survive on fuel. A lot of cars having to come in and get those pit stops done just because they didn't think they were going to make it. And either way, no matter how it works out, it was a pleasure to watch you out there tonight. And congratulations with a top finish here in the NORA Series, and just picking up where you did last week. I'm sure next week at North Wilkesboro, you've got all kinds of good stuff to look forward to there as well.
Yeah, I've never turned a single lap there, so that'll be interesting. My teammate Cody, he's lights out there, so I'll probably lean on him this week to try and give me some tips to get around there. But I've talked about in the past, my short track game is not the greatest, so we'll see what happens there. It'll be nice to just kind of run and not have any pressure about points or anything, so it'll be a good time.
Well, either way, fantastic, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we close this one out?
Yeah, last time I forgot to thank my family. I'm a terrible person, so I gotta thank my family right away for tuning in and watching and giving you guys some views. And of course, my teammates. Gotta thank Cody. He popped into the chat right after to congratulate, or not congratulate, TBD. And of course, gotta thank you guys up in the booth, and gotta thank Josh. Josh is such a great person. I mean, he's got a good heart. He's so forgiving. He's got a heart of gold. I mean, maybe we can send him some cookies his way. I know he's got a wedding coming up, so we can. I love that guy to death. But no, but seriously, he's doing a good job with this league and whatever. I know he's got a decision to make, and everybody else in the league has a decision to make. And I did what I did, and probably shouldn't have, but I had good intentions in the end. But we'll see what happens.
And it made great TV, and that's the main thing.
That was my goal. Yeah.
We do appreciate that, Dustin. Next week at North Wilkesboro, we'll be seeing Dustin Kleba, I'm sure, up there running at the front with his teammate Cody Reeder as well. Congratulations on a great night tonight, and we'll see you next week, my friend.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. So that is Dustin Kleba. Will he be first place next week? Stay tuned. Same channel, same time. We'll give you the lowdown on where he ended up. But either way, he'll be back with a bit between his teeth. And Vincent Arthur certainly knows what he's got cut out for him to win this championship this season. And he's got a very certain number 16 car to get through before the end of this one. Ronnie Norman, a great third place finish as well. And, tonight was all about seeing who could survive. Of course, it was all about fuel. And before we get too far, why don't we go ahead and mention the other sweetness that we have going on here in the NORA Cup Series. And that is Abby's Sweet Treats, a proud presenting sponsor of the NORA Cup and Truck Series. And so many good things to be had over at Abby's. You want to make sure that you get yours today. There's Abby on the screen. She makes the cake pop. She makes the Oreo pie. She makes brownies. And, I have a feeling if you want a custom decoration, you want, a custom type of pie or a custom type of cake pop, just mention it to her, and I'm sure she can do something really cool for you. There's some mermaid cookies, great for a little one's birthday or a fantasy birthday. Abby Dreyer, owner, Plymouth, Minnesota, 812-264-1624, abcobb@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. And, also, I might say that for those of you out there watching, you enjoyed the finish on this one. You don't want to miss next week, so make sure that you get subscribed. Hey, hit that big subscribe button and hit the like button if you're still out there watching. We do appreciate it. And, Christian, tonight, this was something else to watch. A great race at the front between two very skilled drivers. It ended up a little perhaps dirty, but either way, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, a lot of fun to watch. I kind of wish that it could have had a clean finish, because I really did want to see who would edge the other out at the finish line. I mean, those two, they both said they ran out right at the line, so they did a perfect job of saving fuel. Ronnie also did a great job saving fuel to be able to stay out there and finish third, which it's looking, I obviously don't want to speculate, but it is looking like he's going to officially win based on me reading the rule book after I stepped away here. I read the rule book, and based on what I saw, it looks like Ronnie Norman will win the race, but the official word is going to come out tomorrow. This race, Darlington never disappoints. This was an exciting finish. We had one last night. We had an exciting finish last week. This series just never disappoints for putting on a fantastic show week in and week out.
Absolutely. The home of the Southern 500, and of course Ronnie Norman would be so elated after Kansas last week to somehow inherit victory. But more on that next week on Monday night. You'll want to be here for the NORA Truck Series. So as I mentioned, hit that subscribe button and hit notify, and you will be notified of that race. It will be next Monday night at 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time right here on VirtualRacing.Network. I'll be joined by Christian Snyder here in the booth. And so, on behalf of everybody here in the NORA Cup Series and Abby's Sweet Treats Home Bakery, it was a wonderful race, and next week should be a blast as well. Don't miss it. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody. So long.